Hey there, welcome back to my study for another episode of Digging In. This is an episode or a segment where we get to really take some time to study a Bible passage that we'll be looking at here at Sunny Slope Church. And this upcoming message is actually the text we're going to look at today is actually the passage we're going to be looking at on Easter Sunday, and so it has themes of resurrection and the hope of new life. So now I have to say I was not able to make a recording of the first part of our Bible study. Usually that first part is taking the text, breaking it down into smaller pieces, and sort of outlining the flow of thought. I've already done that, so I'm going to put it up on the screen so that you can see and follow along. And then what we're going to do here is we're going to spend some time trying to dig into this, and I'll try to make some notes as we go through. So I actually found out and as noticed as I spent a little bit of time kind of going through it, I didn't pick up on too many words that are repeated. I was a little bit surprised by that. There are some, but not the way that you might normally find. Usually, what we're looking for is words that seem to have significance. Usually, one of the ways you can tell is that those are words that are repeated often enough. In Hebrew poetry, like the Psalms, Psalm 16 here, we're looking for parallelism, phrases that make one statement and then the next phrase will restate it or say something that is the opposite. That's always something to be looking for. Um, so let's dig in. Let's start off here. The psalm starts off easily enough. It starts off with a prayer, really, preserve me, O God, and then it gives a reason why. For in you I take refuge. Now, one of the things that I noticed, and I'm going to highlight this going through at least just a few times, is the number of times the first person pronoun is used. We have the word I, me. Um, let's see, my delight, my lips, my, me, I, I, me, and it goes on like that. And so that's an indicator, anyways, that the psalmist is writing and describing something from his own experience, which doesn't really surprise us all that much. That's I don't think all that shocking on a psalm like this. But here's something to notice. Here's sort of a different part of this a little bit later on here. As for the saints in the land, and then it goes on and talks about the saints. It talks over here. They are the excellent ones. And so he's talking, and then a little bit down here, the sorrows of, and then it's a different group of people, those who run after another God. So what you noticed here is it's a contrast. These two phrases together set up the contrast between those who delight in God and then those who chase different gods. So we're just going to kind of make a note of that. Oops. Because that seems to be a theme that's beginning to emerge here, who chase other gods. See they right there, and then the saints in the land. That actually fits with what we see up here. I've no good apart from you. If you go through the text and you highlight kind of these sort of words that depict something of beauty, here's beautiful, here's pleasant, um, portion, chosen portion. These are descriptions of the Lord. There's a few more a little bit later on in the text. That too is beginning to kind of bring out a picture here of what does it mean to find one's enjoyment and delight in the person of God? What does it mean to actually not, I mean, not, we're not talking not just about fearing God, but also delighting in the Lord, finding our greatest joy and our greatest pleasure in God. That seems to be a theme that's beginning to emerge. And then you can see maybe there's another way to kind of get at this, and that's to notice that. Let's do this. For in you I take refuge. You are my Lord. I have no good apart from you. And then it gets into this contrast. As for the saints and those who run after another god. So the psalmist starts off by saying, you'll notice this, he starts off by saying, I take refuge in you, my good is in you. And then he contrasts two different groups, the saints in the land, and then the sorrows of those who chase other gods. It kind of sets up a contrast between those two groups. You hold, um, yeah, who gives me? So that's probably quite a few. There's more that we can maybe highlight as we go on here. Maybe it's worth just kind of can highlight the Lord here, the word the Lord right there. And yeah, the Lord, I bless the Lord. And then up down there we see it. So this is really a psalm you're beginning to see. It's a psalm that's actually describing for us and depicting the what it is to find our enjoyment and our delight in God. Let's go a little further in the text. We'll be able to see some of these themes again as we go a little bit further on. Let's bring this down. We'll yeah, that takes us to the end of the psalm. So I'm going to go back again and just to illustrate this, I'm going to highlight first that you and me contrast, the first person and the second person contrast. For me, I bless, me counsel, heart instructs me. I've set the Lord, my right hand, my heart, my whole being, my flesh. You will not abandon my soul. You've made known to me at your, and then the opposite side of that is the second person. Let's see here. You will not abandon. Your Holy One, you make known your presence, your right hand. Um, I noticed, and this is, I'm not quite sure what to do with this, but I did notice that right hand is repeated, that idea of God's right hand. So I see that repeated a couple times. I also noticed, we kind of touched on this a minute ago, the idea of the enjoyable things or the good things of God. I noticed that fullness of joy is one, and pleasures forevermore is another one that kind of fits up here with pleasant places, beautiful inheritance. So it's describing something about God that it's a quality or an attribute of God that we find our enjoyment in him because he's delightful, that he's that he's pleasant. So there's something we're beginning to see. It's a question of the psalmist is saying, I take my refuge in you. And why does he do that? And we're beginning to see it's because the psalmist finds his ultimate joy in God in contrast with others who seek their joy in the things of this world. So there's basically that contrast. And then we see some of the specifics of that. So I'll show you what I mean by that. Like there's a couple of other things here. I notice here there's a number of things that are worth pointing out. Counsel, instruct. Um, I've set the Lord. Oh, we missed the Lord. I didn't highlight that, but that's okay. Those are words of guidance. Maybe there's a different word we could use for that, but or instruction. It's really a way of saying that one of the things that God gives to us is His word, which teaches us a way of life, and that way of life is good. And because He has it, He says, "I shall not be shaken." So there's kind of this this idea of God's leading and his guidance, and that's helpful for us to see as well. And then the last portion here is we're going to call it life. And you'll notice that because he's contrasting, you will not abandon my soul to Sheol, but you've made known to me the path of life. So that's a contrast between the grave and new life. Now, the question is, what did the psalmist understand by that? What does David understand by that? Is he is he articulating an idea of what we would call heaven, or and I'm not sure that he is. I think his understanding of life, death, and the afterlife is probably not fully developed, meaning God's revelation of that kind of unfolded over time. It didn't all happen at once, and so it's possible that but that doesn't diminish the hope that he has. He has some expectation that God will deliver him out of death, and will not let your Holy One see corruption. Now, a couple things. I'm going to just point this out. This is really by more way of a question. You will not let your Holy One see corruption. And the question is, well, who is that? Who is the Holy One that he's speaking of? Clearly, the psalmist says here that he's resting secure in God's care, for you will not abandon my soul to Sheol, or let your Holy One see corruption. This phrase and this phrase seems to be contrast. So it says, you will not abandon my soul, but you won't let your Holy One see corruption. Sheol and corruption seem to be two opposite ideas. That would be antithetical parallelism, where we have two ideas contrasted. You'll not abandon me to Sheol. You won't, or let your Holy One see corruption. Maybe it's not antithetical. Maybe it's more synthetic or simple parallelism. In any case, the psalmist is confident that God is somehow going to rescue him even from the power of death. Now, what does that mean? Perhaps the psalmist doesn't yet fully know that or understand that, but in any case, he's confident in the Lord's deliverance. And the psalm ends in much the way that it begins. It ends with the joy of God's presence, the path of life. So we have to unpack all that. Now, again, we've only done so much with this so far. We've only kind of outlined an idea that says the psalmist finds his greatest joy in God because God has shown his favor to him. It talks about the lines falling in pleasant places and an inheritance and just the joy and the delight that there is in God himself. The psalmist has talked about the guidance and the wisdom that God has given, and finally, ultimately, the greatest blessing that God gives is rescue from even the power of death. God has even given that, and so that's all of that together gives reason why the psalmist finds his joy and his delight in God. Now, all we've done so far, we've really just kind of sketched an outline here. We haven't gone into a lot of depth, a lot of detail. There's still a lot of work to be done on understanding the real depth and beauty of a text like this. But this has started us off. This has given us a pretty good framework for understanding what the passage is all about. So our next step is to keep exploring this, to maybe reflect on it a little bit more, study a commentary or two, and then to see to ask the question, how does this text show us God's work of rescue, his redemptive action, and how does God ultimately do that in the person and work of Jesus Christ? And that, when we can kind of answer those questions, then we're well on our way to seeing the full meaning of this text and what it means for us today. Thanks for watching. It's always a pleasure to have you join me on digging in, and we'll see you next time.